After 2.5 years of testing, they're finally here. The Steeda Double Adjustable Pro Action Rear Shock for your S550. Now what an adjustable rear shock does is we're going to control the amount of movement or the rate of the movement of the rear suspension. Now a double adjustable design is just that. You've got your rebound adjustment at the top. You've got 2.5 turns, right, of adjustment. On the lower end, you're going to be adjusting the compression. You have 13 different adjustment points there to control the compression. Now this was a shock that we worked hand in hand with one of our suppliers on back when we were setting all motor records with the Steeda Silver Bullet. Originally, we had our Steeda Pro Action adjustable shock on the back. That is a great shock for about 90% of you guys out there on the market. It's rebound only adjustable, so basically compression is set. Since it is a Pro Action shock, it's meant for the road courses, handling wise. But it also makes for a really good shock at the drag strip. Why? Because we want to tighten up that compression. We want to control the rate at which the rear end squats. Compression was set. It was already adjusted, it's pretty stiff. So we were controlling the rebound only. How quickly the back of that car was coming back up. Now once we got with our friends Circle D and started launching the car harder with a torque converter, we knew we needed a double adjustable design. That's when we reached out to our supplier and said, hey, make us a set of these double adjustables. This is the range we're looking for. They sent us a set. We've been testing these for over 2.5 years on that Steeda Silver Bullet. Like I said, installation is simple, it's very quiet, it's not going to make a lot of noise like some of the other shocks on the market. Rebound adjustable, compression adjustable, super easy. We give you all the tools necessary to make the job happen. And like I said, it really makes dialing in the rear suspension of your S550 that much easier. And like I said, precise adjustments, therefore you can optimize your launch, your 60-foot. As any drag racer knows, every 1/10 of a second you can save going to 60 feet, you're typically taking off 2/10 by the big end of the track. So what this allows you to do is adjust that rebound and compression separately to get the best 60-foot possible from your S550 Mustang. So now we'll give you a visual of the difference between too much, too little compression, or too much or too little rebound when we were testing these shocks on the Steeda Silver Bullet. Here's an example of a terrible launch. So this is what we were trying to fix with our double adjustable Steeda Pro Action rear shocks. You'll see trans brake launch. Once it launches, we're literally trying to dig through the asphalt with that rear bumper. No compression in the rear, squats down, probably smacks the bump stops. Now, it's okay for 90% of the people out there, but when we're trying to shave hundredths and tenths of a second here, all this matters. That is a lot of power that's being driven into the ground there and not pushing the car forward. You'll see as soon as it hits second gear, it bunny hops again in the back of the car, once again showing a complete disregard for compression in the rear shocks. This is one of those videos that ultimately said, listen, we've got to find a way. We got to come out with a double adjustable rear shock for the S550 to make sure that you get 60 foot faster and you can get your car down the 1/4 mile that much quicker every time. So we solidly have a 10-second car here, and you'll see upon the launch, we get quite a bit of squat from the rear. So that's going to be an example of the compression being a little bit too loose. Now it holds the tire there for a second as it rides the wheelie, so rebound is probably just about right there. It's not hitting the tire and trying to hop back up. So rebound's dialed in. It could use a little bit more compression to keep it from jumping on top of that tire. The next pass we're going to show you, it's a nighttime pass. You'll see once again, these are all trans brake launches. So why are we showing trans brake launches? Because they're going to hit the rear tire much harder than foot braking. Foot braking is much more easily controlled. You're not shocking the tire, you're not hammering it. But when we're trying to set records NA, how hard we could launch the car and control that launch was everything. So here you'll have an example of stiffer compression. It slowly comes down on the tire, but then as soon as it comes down on top of the tire, it kind of wants to bounce off. So good compression, probably could have used a little bit more rebound. Now the beauty of it is the front end did come back down pretty quickly. In fact, it kind of just pops up for a split second. The more time you can keep pushing the car forward instead of carrying a wheelie, the faster it will go every time. Another example from that same night, after we made some more adjustments, you'll see once again, trans brake launch, we're in our right-hand lane, which is typically our favorite lane at SGMP. Upon launch, it looks like less compression, still the same amount of rebound, but we went full loose on the front. That allowed the car to kind of porpoise and kind of bunny hop up, but the launch RPM, I'd have to look at the data, might have been actually a little bit higher. That's why it might have been more violent upon the launch. On this launch, the compression's coming down, probably a little too soft, but the rebound allows it to come back up and just barely pull the tire off the ground. Once again, you don't want to carry the wheels. It's great for photos, it's great for magazine covers, but ultimately it is not the quickest way to get down the track. You want to transfer that weight, get the front end down as quickly as possible. As you see, the initial shock allows the front wheel to come up, and then it settles it right back down. So we're clipping the beams with the front tire. This was an excellent launch here. Adjusting these Pro Actions are super easy. At the top, you're gonna have your rebound adjustment. They come with this tool with a plus and a minus, plus being more rebound, minus being less rebound. Just gonna stick down the top, super easy. For the compression side of things, at the bottom of the shock, you're gonna have this dial, numbers 1 through 13, with 1 being the softest, 13 being the stiffest. Typically, you're gonna install these so they're facing the rear of the car, super easy to get to. In fact, you don't even have to jack your car up. You literally can get underneath it right there at the track and make your adjustments. If you think these Steeda shocks are for you, you can pick them up at Steeda.com. If you're unsure of what shock and strut to use, you can check out our in-depth video where we go over all of our options prior to the arrival of these. Hit like, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. And remember, at the end of the day, Steeda, where speed matters.